Good day, me again today. I'm going to do one more on excessive force, family violence, and everything like that. Okay, here you go. Ross Jason Boehm Live, the 7th of 7th, 2016. Oh, let's get the new newspaper for today so you can see it. There you go. Let's say, misleading a human being, telling a lie, leading him astray, fraud, slander, false pretenses, intending to harm, psychological torture and abuse, financial difficulties, making one live on the street, slandering them, and spreading false news and accusations around and getting a gang or associates to participate in it as well in an act of intending to harm somebody, psychologically torturing somebody so they have anxiety attacks and can't live in society anymore and push them away, take away their livelihood so they can't have a financial need, making them go postal over a long period of time with psychological games. Because you're human control or human trafficking or trafficking of a person, them. Excessive force. You're controlling their life to extreme, making them live in less conditions that's adequate lifestyle, adequate life, and everything like that. Lethal injection, harming them, date rape drugs, drugs in their food systems that are anti-testosterone prohibitors, so they're gay or transgender-like, harming a male from strength and fitness and be able to human control again, self-protection, self-defense to be able to protect themselves by viruses or bacteria or somebody pushing them or threatening them in a way. That's right. Human rights. Not paying a fair wage so they can live an adequate life, stealing their life. That's what you've done. You manslaughtered a human being. There's another law. There's about 60 of them already said. And human right violations, acts against humanity, degrading a human being, equal before and after the law. You're not using the proper justice system, not getting assessment orders, using chemical warfare or some type of medication to harm somebody, ethics, lying about what you're going to do, not having the proper forms or warrants to enter businesses or arrest somebody, or take substances like urine or blood from somebody, or a breathalyzer, not having the proper procedures to do so, violating your laws, ethics, and human rights that are supposed to protect the human being, and we're supposed to live in freedom of fear in this country from psychological and physical abuse that tortures somebody in society, degrading them, simoleon fair, holding them down, pinning them there, degrading them, humiliating them, and giving them excessive force or pain in their life, psychologically and physically, by starving to death as well. Being government social workers, governments that don't reply back when they are supposed to send a reply when you send them an email. Thank you, Ross Lai, for sending us your information. We've read it, and thank you very much. Plain and simple. That's how it works. Somebody sends you something if you're in the business of parliament or a company, you send a reply saying, thank you very much. That's usually the way I know it worked. Up until 20 years ago in the psychological assault of family violence, mothers slapping children in the face, and shouldn't abuse or assault your children in any way. As Dave Lai did as a kid every time I had bad grades, which was 3 times a year. You have 3 report cards, and every time Shane Lai, my little brother, would act up and cause an incident. So he would yell and scream that he was being abused by his big brother, who pinned him down on the floor only, never hit him in the head, never gave him a body shot or a bruise in the head or body ever in his life. Causing harm by the doctors and the government, because everything's under the government and their rules and regulations, gynecomastia, obesity, taking hormones away, psychologically harming a person that they have no equal protection, the law doesn't exist, the doctors don't exist, and so forth. The structure of society that is supposed to dictate and protect the human being, making somebody believe that there is no equal protection before the law and no safety net or no safety protection to protect him in any way, because there's no protection from those who are supposed to be serving and protecting the people, going by laws and ethics and human rights. They know the laws. If they don't want to follow it and do it, then it's illegal procedure of excessive force. Finding some means other than the court system to do something. You know, the dark alley. We'll wait out of sight, out of mind. Then something happens. Scenario after scenario after scenario of 300 years of excessive force and starvation of human beings since the coffin ships that the British didn't have to go through, or the Ukrainians that came here before 1900, and or / Russians that lived in the West Coast, and so forth. The Aboriginals before that as well, the Métis that didn't have guns that were big enough, and the Third Reich gun control, and what the Nazis have done in the world of spading, neutering, and segregating people in Holocaust acts and starving them to death and giving them fake drugs and stuff like that to do testing. Sex change drugs that were invented in World War II supposedly, and considered a Holocaust act against humanity, what we call it today. That way it's not referred to as World War II or what the Russians did to their poverty or the Ukrainians as well. You look at the long and short of it, these are all violations created in World War II by the United Nations, saying this is their declarations of human rights and freedoms. And Canada, United States, Britain, and Europe all signed it. Germany didn't right away, and every nation is on board now by the same human rights. The definitions of human rights are already depicted. We have a charter too, but the charter is dictated by human rights. You look at the long and short of it, we have no justice system equal before and after the law if one gets assaulted all the time by psychological torture. You call it a discrimination group testing somebody to see who they're discriminating. To other ethics that they didn't see their entire lives because you only know what you're taught and what's around you while you're a youth. Right, you play games with somebody's head and torture them. You're a retard, abuser, and shouldn't exist as a government as well. You were discriminating by harming somebody by your treatments to them when they're not the ones wrong, when they had a Asian stepfather, was an asshole, didn't put meat on the table or feed you properly, and assault you on a regular basis, and call you dummy retard and insult you every single time, saying, oh, this is the way to do it because you'll do better because I'm telling you off. No, it doesn't work good. You get a bonus in work for doing good, you'll do work good. You know that there's something good out of it. In the end, you'll do better if you know there's a bonus if you make a certain quota or something like that. Just like, what's that word? Not consignment. Consignment's when you hold something there. You have a salary plus commission. A percentage above what you sell. So every time you sell something, you get, let's say 1% or 50% extra on top of it. That way when you're selling something, you know you can go there and, I'll take 10% off of it, and you lose 40%. That's how consignment works. Because you eat the extra money you got. Just like you buy a product, they say it's $100, and you know it's marked up $50-$60. You can take $10-$20 off of it and give somebody a deal. And at the end of the year, it goes down to what it costs them to put it on the shelf, plus 10% maybe. Anyhow, every violation of excessive force, taking somebody's hormones away, and jailing them, making them sit around, not being able to breathe, do anything, gain mass amounts of fat that they can't handle psychologically, because having obesity is a psychological harm. If you were fit before and unfit, it's a psychological harm. All the excessive force in the world you could understand. Being a law of mental illness, that means you've violated human rights. You don't have a degree as a psychiatrist or psychiatry, then you don't know how to diagnose somebody because you don't have the proper training as an RCMP officer or a nurse. Period. You might have a degree to work with mental illness, but it's not a degree to diagnose anybody. It might say that you can look at somebody and look at a symptom, but you don't know nothing. You look at a dietitian, it says food, feed the people first. Leading cause of mental illness is nutrition. All information found on YouTube and on the net that I've found. Mental illness is caused by people going postal and people causing psychological trauma. If you didn't play mind games and manipulate with people's lives and you give them all a fair equal life and made sure they worked in society, had a decent wage, could afford foods and clothing and holidays and entertainment and live in society and mingle and enjoy life, have a wife or a partner, let's say, and kids if you want kids, if you have a wife, and enjoy life, and be happy and joyful, then everything be okay. We don't live in a third world I've ever lived in Canada, and that's the way it works. We don't live in South America, in Brazil, where there's slums and people live in medieval type dwellings, or Africa living in grass huts still in some places, or Vietnam, or India slums, or anything like that. This is Canada. We don't have to feel or know what they're going through other than what we see on TV and know it's wrong. We don't make enough money in this society to help another society out. We have to help ourselves out. We are poor unless we have billions of dollars in the bank. If in 2005, the British Parliament is going to pass $1 million benefit or tax exemption for inheritance, and I've never heard of anybody in my country ever inheriting $1 million cash and assets and land on top of that. Which doesn't make sense. Period. If you want to violate our human rights and mistreat the human beings and mislead them, then you're the problem. Psychologically torturing people because you show off necessities and different classes of necessities from Walmart up to Armani suits, and everybody wants to wear the Armani suit in life because that's a higher state of life, and be a supermodel and make millions of dollars on catwalks, and be a sports model in sports, then we might have a problem too. Everybody can climb a ladder in some way or another, but they have to have the education as well, just in case they have to fall back and get something, like Dave Semenko in the Edmonton Oilers. He went off to be a lawyer, supposedly, and quit being a goon on the ice. That's just an example. Same with actors. They all have another job, and they're the greatest public speakers because they know how to speak properly. Just like a teacher. Are they actors? No. They're teachers and they know how to speak in front of people? Probably not. They're probably not taught public speaking that much, and they don't know how to act. Hypothetically. But Trudeau's doing a pretty good job. Is he not? For a young guy my age, if I look like this and a police officer looks lean, mean, has pectorials, good set of arms, good set of legs, then I should too. No difference in a military person as well. Yep, there's obesity in the military. It's disgraceful to a uniform. Like having your uniform untucked. Hair not neat, face not trimmed, and shoes not shined. Crap on your jeans or your pants as well. Plain and simple. Obesity in a uniform doesn't look good as a service worker or a military or a police officer in active duty or ex-RCMP in a military parade for a funeral as well, which I saw in Vancouver. Look at the long and short of it. That's the way it works. And if I can show you service workers with natural hanging penises of about 5 inches, 6 inches, like a natural human being, all white, like I've sent to the RCMP depot, Mount Sinai, and other places, then you get the point. When somebody has a little tiny penis, the violation of human rights, when mine used to just be as big. And like I said, 9 inches when erect. Violations of human rights laws and ethics on Ross Jason Boehm lie. For the last 16 years, since living on the street, caused by Mother father, and everybody else who wanted them to go through this treatment, assaulting their child in family violence, financial abuse, physical and psychological abuse, and what else is there in there? Many, many more. Since Shane Lai kicked him in the face at the age of 13, busted the nose, had to have a deviated septum, and have it fixed, and maybe gave him a lobotomy at the age of 16, slept on a sofa for about a week, didn't wake up, barely had black eyes under here, and had packing in his nose, which I see a guy in his 30s who had deviated septum in the States and was awake after his surgery and going home supposedly in the car with no black eyes at all. There you go. Human rights violations for how long? I've never harmed anybody physically or mentally, and when arresting somebody in security or as a police officer or in the military, you use what force is necessary to gain control of that system, not excessive force, unless necessary. That's what I was taught by security. And if you leave a building and you stole something, it's within 10 feet you may arrest them outside the doors, not till they leave the doors of the building. Have a good day.